you doing?
What is that thing?
Actually, it's a camera.
Huh? Camera?
Yeah.
Is it broke?
Nope.
Oh. Oh, let's see. What they had something on that? Oh. Oh. I had it on my mind because Barry just told me he was coming over here. I called him up to see how he's feeling. He said, how is he?
He's alright.
Huh?
He's okay.
Yeah, he's just overdone it. He's been taking it pretty rough. Yeah. Something. Oh yeah. See I've got about everything packed up?
Mm-hmm.
He says he might go before the first of the month. I hope he does. Damn. See, I'm winding up all my candy.
You have these strawberries in there.
Huh?
Strawberries.
I don't know. I can't tell one from the other. I can't see. I just eat it. Just eat them. Something I had on mind. I was going to ask you, and I done forgot what it was. But I've just got about everything I've got packed. I can pack up and be gone and know what time now. I took all the things off the farm. All this is your daddy's. I put about maybe 1 or 2 nails in there. I pull them out too. And they, but I found out from that I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Take me up out of the gym. And I know good and well, even the little stuff I've got, I don't care what they've said over the phone. That room, my apartment down there, is packed so full of stuff that I doubt if you could get that chair in there. And they say I'm going to stay there. Can't do it. And Jim's got all his clothes. I got 2 closets. He's got clothes full of that last time I saw him. So I ain't gonna know where to. I told him, ain't no way in the world I can stay there. The way I am. I can't do it. I can't do it. I just physically can't do it. You remember my flag?
Mm-hmm.
And my David?
Yeah.
I folded them up in there and I'm going to give them to you. Would you like to have them?
Sure.
Well, here. See, I still got, where you go? This thing here. See, I've got clothes in the 2 top, these, but the bottom one I emptied it and packed it. And so all this stuff is your mother's. And I had these, you get it with you. There's the fan, and that's it. And then, of course, maybe the other thing that I gave to you, but I don't know. I just packed them up and put them in there. And the things that your mother gave me, now this is your mother's, and I put them in there. And when I pack it, I'll put that or something in these others.
Okay.
But I've always been real fond of that fan and King David. I found that. I got that from a Jew down here in Texas. I don't believe I believe it's in Dayton or something.
That's not far from here.
I know him. He's now, I think the last time I heard him, he's living over in the Jew place over in the country. And that's, of course, that's been a long time. But he sold them, and he's a Christian Jew, and was very popular. He was on the air, I don't believe he's on TV. And I listened to him every day for a long time. He said was a very devout Christian, a Jewish Christian. And he still goes over there and tries to help them, but there are not many real Christians, Jew Christians over there. You can hear that now. They call themselves Christians, but they're not. When the Bible tells you that they're not, it interferes, tells that that's in the future. Damn. But and they had a little old star buttons. I don't know whether I got them from him. I think it did. And I had one left, and I put that in there. But you wouldn't care about it. I had it stuck on that. I was afraid it'd fall out or cut the fan. And I put it in there. I don't know where I had to hunt to find. But well, I haven't got anything else. Nothing much. All I've got is that you can use.
Alright.
Well, what size head is yours? Yours the same size as mine?
Probably.
Would you like to see that brown hat? I'm gonna keep it. I've got them packed up, but I could unpack it. That white one, would you like to have that?
Huh?
Would you ever wear it?
Probably not. You might want to just keep that.
Huh?
You might want to just keep that.
I don't want it. I'm going. I've got that and a summer one. I don't want that either. The only one that I want is the brown one. And I've got a red cap, fancy thing. I've got it down in Tennessee somewhere. But you'd never wear that, would you? That cap, that hat there, hell ain't no telling what that damn thing is bringing. I sold the box that came in for $50. The damn box! The box! It was a sale when I sold it. I had another in this ruined. I've got it here, it's in a mess. I got it all tied up. But there was hats. Oh, I don't know. I had people that would have bought them. I wouldn't sell them. But I went up there one time and bought 4 or 5 at one time, and that's 2 of them. You see, that's 2 of them. There's a black one. I wore it so long. The black was the one I loved the best. Just a pure black, just like the finest. You don't make it. You can't find them anymore. They don't make them. And I wore it and wore it and wore it and wore it. And Kathleen didn't like it. But one day, this an old man came in my store. He was an old farmer, and he was worn out. And I knew his 3 sons, and I thought a lot of them. I had one of them work for me. So, and he came in the store, and his old hat was just looked over. And he liked to come in there to me. I liked him. He lived with a man and his wife that was very good friends of mine and customers. And I said, he had his old hat on. And I've forgotten what his name. I said, would you like to have this hat? Yeah. Boy, you never saw such a happy old man. And it was the summer. He wore it for church. But it was a fine one. It was as fine as you could make. And I don't know what I did with one of them. I guess I wore it out. I wore one every day, always. I didn't quit wearing hats till I came here, because people don't wear them. When I wear them, they notice it. They like them. But right, it's too much trouble. It's too hot. Down here, this is too hot. And I've got caps. I never wore caps. I didn't like caps. I didn't buy caps. I think Jim maybe gave me the first one I had. And I've still got it. I packed it up. And of course, I don't mind wearing them. It's easy. You have to have something on my head. As bald as it is. But I heard Catherine Butler just now called me. She called me about an hour ago. And she's talking about she said that she went out to the cemetery this morning to put flower on her mother and daddy's grave, and she went up there where your mama's buried, and said it was looked real nice. They cleaned it up.
Yeah, it had there's a tree right there.
Huh?
There is a tree.
Yeah.
It was blossoming substantially. And
What?
there was a tree,
Yeah.
and it was blossoming.
It's locking.
Blossoming.
Oh yeah, that's Kathleen just loved it. It's a, oh, I thought of the name the other day. And she always wanted one, and Spratt gave that to me, and I put it there. They're very famous. People loved them, and I didn't have any place to put it. Didn't want to put it on that, and so I put it on the grave, and it was just a sprout. Oh, that's maybe yeah. And I took that thing out there, and it grew up in three strings, like big, and it got up or as high as maybe high as the ceiling, and I didn't like them, so I took me a saw, and I sawed off 2 of them, and they would sprout up there for a long time, and I'd go out there and cut them all off. And he finally got into that one thing, and it was one of 3, and several people told me it's real pretty. It's a red something. They had one in the courthouse there in Fayetteville. When they come out like you saw them, they were beautiful. And Kathleen never did get one for the yard. She loved those other kinds, but we never did find one, or didn't look too hard. And when I found that, I didn't think it was. I mean, Spratt didn't think it. He thought it was one of those famous flowers there in his yard, because that's what he had. He had several of them, and so it was there under his tree. He says, "You want this?" And I said, "Yeah." And it's red something. See, my mind's got my mind, but it's a very, very popular tree down in that country. And when they bloom, they're beautiful. There was one right just to the left, look out of my door down in Fayetteville. And this thing, right there, she's saying, and so oh yeah, and they cleaned up all the flowers. It was on the graves. There was a whole lot of them, of course you saw them, but one, and it's a silk one. It was a wreath, kind of thing, and it like Christine Warren, she's a friend. It calls me every birthday. And calls me every time she's called me several times. And of course, your daddy didn't know her, but I did. I always saw very a lot of her. We've always been close friends, and she gave that. and it's silk. So if your daddy goes down there the next time, if he wants to save it, it would probably last a long time. I gave when my brother-in-law died, his wife died. No, yeah, when his wife died, I didn't go to the wedding. It was down in Alabama, and down on the coast, and I believe it was they moved up there, and yeah, I got a big wreath. It wasn't. I called down there. Called down there. I wasn't here. I was living in. I was living in Cookville, I guess, when she died. And I told her we wanted to get a big wreath, and the company there said, "Well, you can get a real nice one for about for $50 or something." But says now you can get one that's artificial like that silk one, and says they'll last and they're pretty. It'll cost you $60. I said, "Well, send that." And you know, Spratt. No. What is his name? Can't he think of another name? Hal Brook, but I probably call him JP. What did I call him? What was his name? I called him. I've forgotten his name. He had the same name as his daddy, but I called him by his initial. He was a nut. And when he of course, when she died, he moved up with his son up in Kentucky, and he took that wreath with him, and he died there. And when he died, he still had that beautiful wreath. He stayed in a care center. Oh, he was bedridden for a long time. He couldn't get around, and he was just fascinated with that piece. Well, I was awful glad that I gave it to him, because I thought a lot of him. He's a nut, but I still was very fond of him, and his wife too. She was just a plain old girl, but she sure was good to him. She was very fond of him. And if they'd have starved to death, how long they'd last, if she hadn't been married to him, because he lost everything he had, and she was teaching school, and she kept him going. And he'd get a little job went to work in a lumber yard, and they didn't have any hardware, so they got him to hired him to take care of a little hardware. He started building them for the lumber yard, a very rich hardware. But it gave him a job to do. He was a poor hardware man and went broke twice. He didn't know how to handle money. He'd sell it and spend the money, and when he had to pay the bills, he wouldn't do it. So he went broke, and the last time he went broke, I don't know, it's several $1,000s out of Louisiana. No, not Louisiana. I can't think of it. But I asked him if he ever paid him. He said he did already, but he went busted. I think it was $6,000 to $10,000. That was a lot of money then. But he just didn't. What in the hell was my own brother? I can't even think of what I called him. JP. James Porter. James Porter. His daddy was named James Porter, we called him Gramps, and I think everybody else just called him Mr. Halbrook. But JP, I called him JP.
Now that's Steve Halbrook's dad?
Huh?
That is Steve Halbrook's dad?
I didn't get you. I can't.
Steve Halbrook. His dad?
Yeah. It's JP. Yeah. Yeah. He was a funny guy. He wasn't no fool, but he just didn't know nothing about money, and he was didn't know how to wear clothes. And when he was young, he was handsome. He was just an old tramp guy. But and Mama, his mother, his sister, she didn't want him to come. They came up there one time, and there's never such a mess in your life. She messed up one of her best rooms, dropped the old dirty clothes on the rug and all. You know, and she never did want him to come back. I was kind of ashamed of her. We came down here one time to visit y'all, you know, and went back, and she kept talking about it, going to see Jay Porter. He'd moved from Florida down in Lower Alabama because he had a man gave him a house to live, gave it to him. Because he was broke and he was renting it, and it was in his property, and it was a pretty good house, but the man, then they were cheap, you know. Of course, he lived, man, felt sorry for him, gave it to him, and his daughter, he caught fire and burned up and killed his daughter. She suffocated. You see, she got in the closet, and they got the fire out, but couldn't find her, and finally they opened the door of the closet, and she hid in the closet to get away from the fire, you know, and she suffocated. Didn't burn up, but they found her in there. They had to hunt a long time to get her. Didn't realize she's there. But JP he was some nut. He called me up one day and wanted me to get him a turnaround thing to hold boats and nail things. You ever see them? Mm-hmm. Huh?
Yep.
And I had one of the best ones. He would carry 30 cranes, I think, and he wanted to buy one for that lumber yard, and he wasn't that smart on it, so he called me on the phone and wanted to buy mine, and I said no, I wouldn't sell mine. But will you get me one? I said I don't know. Well, one day a man. There was a little store out from town, had one, and it was smaller. And the man went, when he went broke, he wasn't making any money, so we were going to close it up. And he put it on an auction sale, and Kathleen and I were going to Florida on a visit, on a vacation. And I told the lawyer, the salesman, the auctioneer, was a good friend of mine. I said, buy that nail keg there, if you can. And I'm not going to be here. And he said, well, what do you want to give for it? I said, don't go over $200. And it was, of course, his second hand, and I didn't know it, but it was in a hell of a shape. And so I went on off, and he came back and he called me and said, well, I got you that, but I had to go $15. Well, I just thought, well, that's a damn thing. I wouldn't do it. I just hated it, but I didn't say anything. So I told him, okay. And I went out there and got it and brought the damn thing in. And see, they were stacked, and they go round. And in between them, they had torn them out, and the roller bearings and whatnot, all down in there were gone. And the washers and all was gone. It was the damnedest thing. Well, see, I was one of these guys that had everything to fix it. I had those shelves, you couldn't find them. I was the only man in that country that had those things. I bought a whole stack of them, all sizes, little bitty, great big. And you think, well, man, crazy as hell. You never would sell him. Boy, he was, because he'd buy something for a dime, sell it for $1. Sold a lot of, and so I tore that thing apart and put every one of them back in there and fixed them up. And it was just the prettiest thing you ever saw. And And so when I called him, I said, JP, I got your nail running. And he said, I can't take it. Says the man said, hell, he didn't want no damn nail box. And that's the best thing in the world. That's one of the first things I bought in my store. And I said, what the hell are you doing now? You caught me with this damn thing? And hung up the phone. And well, I fixed it up. And it sat there in that store a long time, and I used it to put marbles in. Because I had my other one there. And finally somebody bought mine, I don't know, I think $500-600. I don't know, I probably paid $150-250 on it, but it was brand new. And then, of course, that was way back. And so one day this man walked into the store, and he was opening up a store out about Nashville, Tennessee, in a little country town. He said, what do you want for that thing? I said, $400. So he bought it. So I didn't lose any money anyway. But I can say it without bragging. I was blessed in the Bible. I don't care what I bought, I sold and made a whale of a profit on it. But Jake couldn't do nothing. He was down in Mississippi, no, in lower part of Florida, and he had a country store, a hardware store in out there, and hell, he went broke flatter than hell, and he just didn't know. He just had to stay in the bed all day and let a woman run his hardware store, and of course that didn't do it. And then he had come down there and work at night putting up stock, things like that. See, you don't know that. And he came up to my store somehow or another, and I told him about, I had a a wonderful paint job, paint, house paint and all that kind of stuff. And it was made down in Georgia, and it was it was built up for the World War II. And the man that built it, he built it for the Army. And when the Army was over, there he was with all that stuff to make good paint, you know, and no sales, because it all went to farm. So he went into the paint business, and boy, it was wonderful paint, because it was the government wanted the best. And I got a hold to him somehow or another. A man told me about him, about that guy, and I got to buying paint from them. I cooked one of the most famous ones in the country. I kicked him out because they were cheating me, and I was making about 30% profit. And this man gave me, I got 100%. If it cost whatever it cost, $2 a gallon or $3 a gallon, I doubled that. And I made more money and sold more paint. It was just a wonderful paint. And I told JP about that, and you know, he went down there, and that was his best part of his business. He'd drive up way down in Florida, up there in Georgia, lower part of Georgia there, and get that paint and take it, and it was so good, he'd sell it to those manufacturers, you know, and that was the best thing he was making money on, because he had to pay for it before he could get it back, see? So he'd buy that and sell it and pay it. But he just wasn't a hardware man. Took his dad's hardware store and went broke it after he died. He just couldn't do it. Some people can't do it. And you know, was very Christian, you know. And I used to take a drink, and he just taught me, I did something awful. Just you drink a drink. Come to find out, he was a beer drinker. Kept it in his ice box. and I think he went up to St. Louis. That's where that hardware. He went up there to, I guess, trying to settle part of that. That's where he went up and bought something, sir. And I have got an inkling that he went up there and got drunk up there on that. But it's all right for him to drink, but it was terrible for me to drink. So he slipped in the back door one day and says, you got anything to drink? I ain't got nothing but whiskey. I don't have no beer. I thought he was sending me to hell for doing it, but I finally learned to quit. But he was all right. He was just, that was the only thing Gramps had. They spoiled him. Did you know him? Did you see him?
No.
Well, he was born with a arm.
Yeah, I met his son, Stephen.
When he had 2 sons. Or he had 3 sons, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them drowned. Yeah, oh yeah. He's a fine boy. And the other one was a extra fine boy too. JP, he was spoiled, see. And he wanted to go to the army when his and army wouldn't have him. He just bad. He tried every one. No, they wouldn't want him. And I've seen people just a whole lot worse than he was in there, but they wouldn't take him anywhere. And he could use that arm. He was strong, but he was awkward. But Mimi and Gramps just spoiled the rotting out of him. Of course, he was the only son, you know. They spoiled him. He even went to college. Yeah. But he just wouldn't do it. He worked for a grocery store. When I married down there, he was working in a grocery store, working groceries, and right next door to Gramps' hardware store. And finally, Gramps went into business, and so he hired him to go in the store. Well, as long as Gramps was running it, he was a good clerk. He was a good clerk. But you turn him loose to buy it, he ruined you, and that's what happened to him. Gramps got sick and had a stroke. He had a stroke, baby. He had 3 before he died, and JP was running it. And of course, he had to buy, and he got to slipping buying things that Gramps wouldn't do. But he managed to sell them and get rid of them. Got rid of them, and Gramps didn't know it. See, and of course, I'm sure he didn't sell them on credit or to bad credits because Gramps made money. He didn't make big money, but he had a little hardware, and he didn't know anything about hardware. He went in that after retired, and it was a nice little store, and it made money, but. He ran it several years, and he bragged to me. He says, you know, I've never lost any money on bad debts. And I thought, well, I thought to myself, how much money did he lose by not selling on credit? I sold on credit. I sold thousands of dollars on credit, and I lost several $1,000s. But hell, I made so much money on the other that it was worth losing that to make the business. See, he ran his business away. Of course, and I don't blame him. I don't like people pay debts, but I was a pretty good judge on them. But you catch one now and then, you know, they'll get you. They'll get you liars. I had one old boy. He was working for. Barry Williams. He was Barry Williams was building houses, and the man that was building was head of the building of his. He came to my store and wanted to buy a bunch of tools for the house. So I sold him a whole bunch, saws and all that damn stuff, you know. And he didn't pay me. He didn't pay me. Well, there wasn't nothing I could do about it. So one day, Barry was in there, And he said, "How you like my man?" And then I said, "You thieving son of a bitch," or something. That's just about what I said. I said, "Yeah." I sold him his tools, and he never did pay me. He said, "You mean that?" I said, "I mean exactly that." He said, "How much was it?" And so I got him, told him. He took it out of his pay. That's the only way I got it back. And then the old man come in there, wanted to come in there and want to buy some more. I said, "No way, no credit." After, you see, Barry left there and went to Florida. That was when he was in federal. And then he had to go to work. Well, he wound up, I think, making barns. He was a better barn builder than he was a house. But I got my money. He was a thief. I guess he'd do anybody that way. And so sometimes you get stuck on them. And of course I lost a few. I lost $700 one day. A man came in my store. I'd been selling him for a long time and did a lot of trade with him. And my brother did a lot of trade with him. And he was just going good with me. And I didn't know it, but he decided he was going out of business. He was a builder, and he was going out of business, and he was going to move out of the town, you know. And I didn't know it. But he came in the store, and I had bought a whole bunch of fine tools and bolts and screws and all that kind of thing. And he came in there and was see, I had bought several $1,000s worth in a bankrupt store. And of course I didn't have money in them. But he didn't know that, but it's brand new stuff. You know. And he came in there and he picked this up and picked this up and picked it up. Oh boy, so I was real good. Got $700 left down. Never heard of him. I heard of him, but never did see him anymore and never did get a dime. But I figured, well, out of that $700, I might have had $100 in them. I don't think so, because I only paid $225 for about $15,000 or $20,000 worth of bankrupt from a big wholesale hardware thing in Huntsville, and went broke. And when he came to all those bolts, you know, he had a huge back. Nobody wanted. Nobody wants all that. And so a man bought it and paid $225 for it. I was just new in hardware business, and he was a close friend of Russell. And they took him out. There was three of them together. They had 3 farms and 3 men, and they were wealthy people. And they took him up to their barn and used a few, you know, and asked my brother if he could sell them. So he came, asked me, said, "Billy," said, "that's a good deal. How much would you go?" I said, well, he said, "They just want what they paid for, $225. And then $25 for a bunch of 50 horse collars, you know, and all new." So I went down there and said, yeah, I sure will. I paid $225, $25 for the, $225 and $25 for the collars. And took 4 truck loads to get them. I went down there and got 1 truck load, and my boys went down and got the other. Oh, that was a fortune. I made more damn money on it because I said, "Man, that's so brand new." And see, they had great big boats. I didn't care though, but it did there. So see, that made my stock. I had a big stock of boats. I had more boats than anybody in Lee County. And I counted them. They wouldn't care. They didn't know they sell, but hell, there's a fortune in the boats. And I bought all of them. And then I made plenty, but just kept my mouth shut. I had them as little bitty things to great big things. And those little bitty things, you know, cost nothing. I get 50 cents a piece for them because you couldn't find them nowhere. Couldn't find them. No, people didn't buy them. They foolishness. And I had them in the ship, had them put them, people working on radios and all, I had bolts for them. Of all things, well, of course, I never buy them, but they had them. And hell, I sold them. And I had them and I just kept my mouth shut. Well, I couldn't find them nowhere else. You'd have to order them from Sears Roebuck or somewhere, but they couldn't have. Hardly plow collars and all them, $25. I sold about 3 or 4 of them, got $25. And I got several $100 out of the others. The only one that wasn't good, it was a little pony collar, and it was busted all pieces. And I took it and hung it on the post back behind the store, and somebody picked it up. I could have sold it. I didn't think about it. Now, if none then, I would have learned somebody buy it to hang on the wall. It was torn up a little, but just things like that. Well, I get to talk about hardware. That's my life. What's her name? Oh yeah. And they've sold all that, most all that land back behind me, behind my store. On that, behind my store, they sold about half of the whole thing. They sold it all, and they're going to put one of these high houses on back behind my store, and the other half of it is going to be a library there, back behind that part of the square.
Back where the stables were.
Huh?
Back where the stables were.
That's where the what?
Stables.
Yeah, where my daddy had a stable. Yeah. Now that's where they're going to build the high houses. What do you call it? And Catherine just told me that a while ago, and says, and they're going to be, and there's no parking places. Well, that's the stupidest thing ever. Well, now they're worried about where they're going to park. Of all the things they build a thing like that, because the street down there before is not long. So that's the craziest thing I ever heard of. But I don't think they've got it all built, from what I hear. They changed that. And the library hadn't been built either. That's not big enough for the library. Half of it, it's not even half. So that's the stupidest thing I've heard of. But of course I know I'm just listening on the phone. But when I was in the hardware store, there was a group of people that wanted the government to take over that whole part of that street where I had take it all for nothing. Things were cheap then, and they were going to buy all of that and take that whole street and the whole one back and turn it into something and give us nothing. And Joe Sir was my friend, and Joe Sir got word of it. He was a friend of mine, and he told me about it. And one of the man that was in the bank, he was one of the banks. I don't know whether he wasn't the head of it, but he was next to him. And they were really going to make a lot of killing, And he told me about that. And that was when what was the president that got caught stealing? What was his name? I can't think of him. He was, you know him. See, I can't think of those little things, but anyway, that was when he was in office, and he was pretty popular, And I knew him, and I was a Republican. I said, okay, big boy. So I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I know the President of the United States that hates the guts out of the people that was going to do that. So I said, I stopped that. I said, hell, I just took it up with the President. And it killed the hell out of it, too. they were going to tear down a quarter of each of that side of the town. Back in there where the fire department was, they were going to take all that. Of course, the fire department wasn't there. It was nigger houses. See, it's going to take care of people, take advantage of people. The world's full of that. Just like, what is that? There's some place in Chicago now, been there for years and years, and there's just a bunch of junk people. It has turned out to be popular, and now they're trying to push them out of it for nothing. And they don't, but I haven't heard lately. I've been hearing it on the radio. It's like my store, you know, when they had it, it was hard to sell. And you wouldn't believe it, when I was a boy, before I was born, that store building where I was cost $4,000 to build. Now that's what thing, you know, that home I lived in down there, the one just like it sold here not long ago for $450,000. It's a duplicate of the mine that I lived in. Well, and it just cost $4,000 to build. When my daddy bought it, I don't know what he didn't pay much over that, you know, and then he done it. It went on up. But it was torn down my store. But that house, that store where I was, it cost $4,000 to build. And I don't know, they used it for the city for several years, and then there was a bootlegging place on there. Well, whiskey. It wasn't. It was illegal to sell it. It was the whiskey thing. One day, man got killed in there, and then it was a funeral store, and then it was a funeral home, and the funeral home bought it. I think paid $6,000, and they sold it. No, they sold it. They sold it for $7,000. And a woman bought it. A man that was running the president of a big factory out there. He's a woman, office woman to keep his books and all that. He advised her, says, go down there and buy that place. She bought it for $7,000, and it wasn't no time that some outfit came by there, and she sold it for $21,000. And that was when I was traveling on the road, you know. And you see how I got the 21,000. Anyway, there's a man was in the furniture business, and they went up on his rent, and he wouldn't do it. So he went down the street and built him a new one on his own. They wanted so much for it, and so I came along. Now, and it was for sale, and see, I need to build him. And so I said, what do you want for that? He says, $35,000. So I was renting it. See, I rented it, and I wasn't thinking about buying it. But see, if it came up for sale, and they were going to, somebody was going to buy that building and the one next to it, and build. They had a call and build a big superstore there, you know, and so. It's somebody in town that's digging. I asked them what they want for it, so the best thing to do that was to buy it. So I didn't know whether to do it or not. And Bill had, you know, backed me in the hardware business. And so I went home and I said, Kathleen, have I got a clean shirt? That's right. He said, I'm going to Louisville, Kentucky tonight, and I'll be up there in the morning. I'm going to talk to the man that put me in Venice. And I went up to see him and told him about it, and he says, well, it's a good place. It's the best place in Fayetteville. And it says, but they're charging you $10,000 too much. Can you pay that? Well, I said, I got most of the money I can pay. I got $29,000 I can pay on it. I'll have to pay, I believe it was 7,000, about 6,000, but that I didn't have. And so he says, well, can you stand that 10,000? I said, yeah, I'll make it the first year. So we'll go down there and buy it. So I went down there and bought it, and of course I went to the bank and borrowed $6,000, and they were, I was going to pay them $1,000 every 6 months, and pay it off in good time. Well, the first bill came due, so I took $1,000 and another check that paid 6% interest. And so I handed it to him, and the banker was a, well, I don't say it was a friend of mine then, but he turned out to be a good friend of mine. And I said, well, let me see, Bill, I've got 2 men that's offered to take this debt of mine and give it to me for 5%. Although, see, the lying bastard over there, that brother bank that did that to you, did that, and they promised they wasn't going to do things like that. I said, they had, but I said, I didn't say the bank was doing it. I got 2 men just offered me the money, and I don't mind telling you who they are. I didn't want to get into trouble with the bank, but the bank had already come over and up. They would let me have my money for 5%. So they called him a son of a, he took my $1,000 and he said, change that check there to 5%. Or I said, you don't have to, no, you just change the whole damn thing. And he changed it, and I finished it up with 5%. That's business doing. One bank and one store cheat another man if they get a chance to. And they work with, that was the bank, they went broke. The one that slipped over there, they went broke. The other one didn't. No, hell, they sold out their bank, and right now it's the biggest bank in Lincoln County. But the man it changed hands 2 or 3 times, but the man that made a associate of it is the man that bought my store. His father bought the store that I was in. He's in there, and you know, when I paid $35,000 for it and sold it for $75,000 when I got through with it, and she sold it. She paid me $75,000 for it. That's what she bought it at, and she kept it for 11 years, and it had a storm on it and damaged it up there, and she wouldn't fix it, and she sold it though to the man that owns it now for but she spent $60,000 on remodeling it and putting fine stuff inside and making a living place upstairs on there. Mine was just a store. It's just 2 stores there, and so she had that about that much money, you know, and that man paid her $129,000 for it, and then he spent about $1,000 more than that. See, he's got a lot of money in there, but it's the best location in Fayetteville on the story, but the town is dying. But his daddy's a multi-millionaire, so it don't make no difference. But you never know. You never know what you. But I came out pretty good. That's like when I bought my first house, I paid $4,500. That's way back, and I got, I think, 6,000. And the man said, "Oh, I ain't gonna do it." I said, "Well, okay, I'll just rent it." See, I wasn't gonna rent it. I let it stay up. I wouldn't put anybody in it for 3 months, and I couldn't find anybody to rent it. because I wanted from a good man. And so that man said, "Oh no, he was a smart guy." And I said, "Oh dang." And so the man came by there, and it's the man that I put confidence in, and I sold it to him. And I sold it, and in a week, and then came up there. He moved in, and the man saw he wasn't going to get it, so he came in and paid the price. And I let the man stay a month and didn't charge him anything. and you know what? You know what his daughter, he died, and his daughter, you know what's he got for it? $35,000. And it's still there. I wouldn't. It's a pretty nice little house, but it's not worth $35,000 even now. You going to sleep? Barry said that yesterday you was out in a big party, wasn't you, all day?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't say it like that, but then I'm just teasing you. Well, you must have had a big time.
Apparently so.
Yeah. Well, how you doing in your business?
Oh, that's going real well.
Well, Barry told me not long ago that he was going up there to get his grave markers.
Yeah.
When's he going?
I don't know.
Well, now he says he's going to take me up there before the end of the month. And I talked to Barry, Jim last night, and but I didn't know that then. So next time I talk to Barry, I told Barry to call Jim and tell him that when he was doing it. So if he's coming to see me tomorrow, he said, and I'll ask him if he's called Barry, so that he'll be prepared. Of course, I can't call Barry. See, I can't call him. I can't make it. But I ain't gonna live there. I can't live there. I'll stay there a while. It'd be too hard on her, and she can't take care of it because I'm getting worse. My body's giving. I'm going to have to go to. I'm just about that far out of going complete bed, where I won't be able to get it because my guts are giving me trouble. And I told Barry about it, Jim about it yesterday, and he said, "Well, I can help part of that. You're going to have to put me in diapers. But if it's cancer, it'll be more than that, see. But I can get by that." He said, "I'll fix that up for you." And right now I can't hardly get around. It's just hard for me to go down there and get my dinner and come back. It's as hard as it can be. What time is it? It ain't my dinner time, is it?
It's 4:30.
Huh?
4:30.
Oh, yeah. 4:30? Yeah. No, it's 5. Yeah. I'm going down. I'm going down very fast from now on. I know it. I know it. I don't tell it. I don't tell everything, but my guts in bad place. Of course, see, they took out 4 feet, something like that, and I've been fortunate to go as long as I get, but it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And my kidneys, I can't control my kidneys. But yesterday I went down to get my dinner and coming back, I couldn't. I made it to the door, but it was too late. I wet my whole pants. Of course, didn't make no difference. I just went over and changed it. But I can't control it, and it's and that's what Jim says. That's old age. That's what Philip Higgins had it, and he put him in bed for 3 years. And I don't know whether mine I don't know what he had, but he was in a care center before I was, and he was having trouble there, and they had to bathe him even then. They had to bathe him, go into a room. A nurse bathed him, and he finally went to bed. And you know, Kathleen, my wife, she went to bed for 2 years, and she never got out of the bed. They bathed her, and everything, but of course they had tubes on her, and she had side outlet things on her. And I told you know, I've always been afraid I was going to have a side outlet from my bowels, and I may have to. I guess it's better than dying. No, I'm better off dead than I'll be dying, but I don't want to kill myself or dodge him and let them kill me. But I've been knowing it. If it's been bothering me, I hadn't said nothing to your daddy about it, but it's coming, and I know it. And I told Jim, he's found a place where they can take care of me. He said it's about 15 miles from where he lives, and it's I think around you, and I want to go to talk to him to be sure it is, because the other place I lived in, I wouldn't have put a dog in it, but they couldn't do it. But they had a sub room built. The company only owned one. It did it, but everybody went in there. Just about every one of them come out dead. Well, that's what most of them will do. That's what I'll do. But Higgins, the one he started in and stayed with for several years, it got where they couldn't take care of, so they put him in one there in Federal. I could go in Federal, but I don't have nobody to pay my bills. But if I have to, when I go to if I go to bed, I won't need anything. So Jim could just mail the check down there and come see me now and then, because I won't need to have to buy anything. See, now I fix my own food, but it was going to get where I can't do that. And now I can't tell what I'm eating. I can't tell what I'm eating. But see, I go down there and tell them what to eat once a week, every Friday. And they're supposed to be there, and if it's not that, then I'm in trouble. And I do. Well, the doctors gave me a pill. If they give me something that don't agree with me, I've got a pill there. I keep this in my pocket, so I won't forget it. See, when I go eat my supper tonight, I've got to, because I forget to eat the pill. I have to take the pill and eat it, and it lasts for 24 hours, one a day. It kills uric acid, counteracts it. And uric acid, see, I'm having trouble with my feet. That's uric acid causing that. You see, they just swelled up. I just barely can't get that shoe on. I put those big ones out yesterday, but it's just so damn hard to take on and off. And so I'm taking these pills, and I think it'll help some. But it starts here, and it's already up to here. See, I'm getting crippled. Just an old man. Which car are you driving now?
Taurus.
Hmm?
Taurus.
Which?
The Ford.
And did the woman buy it?
Yep.
Oh, she did. Is she working for you?
Yep.
Well, that's a pretty good little car if she don't. But did you keep your service pretty good?
Yes.
Well, now if she'll keep it serviced, it'll last a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only way to do is keep one. I kept one little old truck for 14, and I didn't take too care to carry it, but I kept it for 11 years. And but the biggest trouble I wanted something else. I wanted a trailer and put it behind my car because Kathleen, it's hard for her to get in and out of the truck, and I could pull that with a car and a trailer, and that's what I went to. I did that for several years. I don't know what I would do now. I think I would. I would still rather have that than a small truck and a big truck. They're too expensive. And now these trucks, you got more truck than you have anything else, and they just rob you. Now, I had a small, a Chevrolet and a Buick that pulled a good trailer, and I carried thousands of dollars, thousands of pounds of stuff all over the country. Down here, I came down here and bought two or three truckloads of water bottles, and I was paying maybe $2 or $2.50 for them. And this third trip I was down here, I went back through, where in the world was I got the town I can't think in Arkansas, and I stopped at some place and to use the telephone. I found out, I heard that I could buy glass bottles in that town, and so I picked up the phone. I asked the man if I could use his phone, and he said, there it is. So I called him up and I said, what do you get for those bottles that you discharged? He says, $1 a piece. I said, thank you. I didn't tell him who it was. So I got in my car and went on down there. And the next trip I came out, I went out there and I bought several thousand of them, I guess. $1 a piece. Sold the hell out of them. $10 to $35 a piece. And while I was talking that phone out there, I found out a man had sharpening stones there where I used the phone. I think it was, and he had a good price on them, so I bought a bunch of them, and that led me to another man that had them, and boy, I bought hundreds of sharpening stones. Nobody in the world ever thought you could sell them, but I sold them by the hundreds. Went out in the country, way out in the country, and bought them for nothing. The man went broke, and I bought his stock for nothing. Boy, a heck of a price on them. I'd forgotten about the knives, the sharpening stones that I bought. So, and the only way you do it is, if you got 150 of them, sit them in the window, sit them out the door. And they go, what in the world you get for that? We'll sell it down so cheap, but they think it's stealing it. And I was the one that stole it. But it paid off. And there's an old man, they told me where the good ones were. I was helping him. He was a peddler. He was a mail-out salesman that I don't know whether he got fired or they got rid of him or something. And he got to peddling things, and I was helping him, trying to help him with things. I sold him handles and things cheap, so he could make some money. But I asked him where he got those sharpening stones, and he wouldn't tell me. So I found out I believe he's buying me in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So one 4th of July, Kathleen was coming down here to see y'all, and And, she said, what you going to do, Daddy? And he was going on a holiday. I said, I'm going to Arkansas. So I drove over to Arkansas. And I was driving in there, and there's a stone, these old stones, rocks and stones and sharpening stones. And I said, going into that city, Hot Springs. And he had a right new little building. It was maybe twice as big as this room, a little bit over, but about this side, on the side of the road, and it had a big field, and it was just full of, of course, the sharpening stones were in the building. And I stopped and drove up in there, and he's sitting on a little table there, and it was a holiday, and we wasn't doing nothing. So I went in there, and he had those sharpening stones all over his wall. I said, would you tell me where you buy those sharpening stones? I knew they were at first grade. See, he was buying seconds. And I said, it wouldn't bother you, I'm 500. Here. You fixed it once before, or you took it off there. Damn, I can't. Here. Oh, damn, I can't do, see what I can't do nothing right.
What are you trying to do?
Once you put, see, you can see, I've opened this. It's so damn cold in here.